Let us know when we're on.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. There's like a delay. It just hit saying we're live. So, welcome to Tuesday's episode of the Faika podcast. We always push and promote positive Pacific Islander role models. And so, Carl and I, hi, Carl.
Are we on? Live?
Yeah.
We'll get it right one of these times. We'll actually go
Yes.
live in the middle.
Yeah, so okay, let me just turn this down. So our goal is to make sure that people get to see Pacific Islanders outside of being athletes and actors, which there's totally nothing wrong with that. That's awesome too, but to see Pacific Islanders in outside of that, so that kids or other whoever can see that role models come in brown. So this evening we have Elizabeth Ellis,
everybody,
and her twin, aka her mother, Katerina Toms.
Aloha.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We got together with them because I went to school with Katerina's sister, Tammy, she's just such a great supporter and a great friend. So we love her, but we appreciate that she guided us to the both of you. So we're going to start with Katerina first. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and how you got to where you are.
Mua lava, whaftai lava le alofa le atua, ua tātou whaatasi, I le nei afi matango fie.
Okay,
and okay, I had to memorize that. But you know what? Nackie and Carl, we've been hearing from the two of you from our sister Tammy for years. So it's like she says, what? Polly by design. So we know you, but now we're finally here. I'm really excited to be here. I was born in Matu, and I'm old. I'm 64 years old.
That's not old, girl.
That's not old at all, Kitty.
No.
That's not old.
Oh, so we left the islands in 1960. I was 5 years old, and I have never been back, you guys. This was the summer I was supposed to go back.
Oh my God.
But then COVID-19 hit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we're going to have to wait until next summer.
Yes.
But yeah, we lived off island to Hawaii. We lived in Hawaii until I finished 6th grade. And then, our dad, he was all about you kids are getting college educations. He moved us off of the islands and to San Francisco. So San Francisco is home.
Yeah.
Went to Mission High School. Go! Graduated from Mission High School, then started college at San Francisco State. So everything happened there. Got married. My kids, Elizabeth and her brother Woody, were born at Seton Medical Center. Met my father there too. So it's like being with you too is like coming home, and I'm just don't make me cry, okay?
I'm a crybaby. So
that's not good for us because I think we are too.
She's a crybaby too, but I got my bachelor's in political science and then went to get my graduate degree, a master's in high school and clinical counseling. So I've been with the Tigard Tualatin School District at Tualatin High School for 15 years as a school career coordinator and now a counselor, and I love it.
Oh, I love that.
And then I have my granddaughters. Nyla Tautalamoto is 9, and my little Rosemary Joy is 10 months today.
Oh my gosh, baby. Yeah. Baby. And then, okay, so thank you. I'm gonna come back to you. Let's get to Elizabeth. Can you tell everyone that's tuned in, which there's a Korean Togia'i, which I'm sure you're related to. But can you tell everyone that's tuned in a little bit about yourself and where you were raised and everything.
Salafalava, everybody. I'm Elizabeth. I was born in Daly City, like my mom said. I was born in Daly City. I'm 38 years old.
The baby.
About to finish up the 30s here soon. But my parents and I was an only child until I was about my daughter's age, until I was 9. And we moved, wouldn't you say, Kitty, quite a bit. We moved around which makes me very resilient in life. I've decided to accept that and learn that. But we settled here in Oregon. We've been in Oregon for a significant amount of time. I graduated high school here. I graduated from Portland State with my bachelor's in English. And I thought that like I would have all of the answers to life. I would just know what to do. I would know everything. And I left college and I had no idea what to do. Oh, excuse me. I got a golf scholarship to college.
Oh, excuse me.
I forgot to leave out my best part is that I went to college on a golf scholarship.
Wow.
Nice.
Golf.
You know I was one of the only brown girls out there. You already know that.
Yeah.
But I went to Portland State. I graduated. I didn't know what to do. So I flew to, I was like, let me take this teach English to students of other languages class in Thailand. Let me go do that.
Did
And,
you?
She did.
Oh
I did.
my God.
I
Paid the bill.
I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
bye. And I took off and
How old were you when you went to Thailand?
I was
She did, Carl.
I was 19. I was real young.
my
Oh my gosh.
No, how old was I, Kitty? No, I must have been
No,
20.
you already graduated college.
Yeah, no, I must have been 21,
22.
22. Here's what I know is that I was too young to like be scared of the world yet. And so I
Yeah.
just went and I
Wow.
did a program that taught there was a cohort of us how to teach English to students of other languages, non-native speakers of English. And it was the very first day that I was there. I was like, I am meant to be a teacher. I knew it immediately. And I was like, okay, I can live this life and travel and teach this, or I can go back home, see if I can get my master's done because that's what's required in the United States. Let me see if I can go get this done so I'm not 70 years old and having to do this and get a job when I get back home.
Yeah.
So I came home and I graduated with my master's in education, teaching and learning. And now I've been a teacher for I just wrapped up the most challenging year for sure,
Oh
but my
God.
13th year of education being a teacher. And I teach for Portland Public School District, the largest school district here in the state of Oregon.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome. Like I'm blown away.
Yeah.
That's crazy, amazing. And you found your niche in another country.
Right.
And I love that you know when it happened, like just like that. And you know,
Immediately.
sometimes people don't always find their
Yeah,
groove,
sure
you know
that's-
what I mean?
Nackie and I both saw the same thing as you were telling that story, is that you found your passion early. Like
Yeah.
there are people
Right.
that don't find it till late, or some, never really do find it. And
Right.
you kind of see, I see people that are going through life, they're not really doing their passion. And you can kind of see it in people. They're like, I was kind of meant to do something else, yet they don't go, or they never
do
find it. And to find it at 19, but back to, or in your early 20s, but back to that, going to Thailand, that young, you know what I mean? Like when
Yeah.
you talk about being resilient, you say you didn't know enough about the world to fear going over there, but you had the heart to go move to a different country. That's amazing. So teaching English there as a second language,
Mhm.
and then coming back to the United States and now teaching in the U.S. education system.
I teach high school.
uh,
I teach high school language arts, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Oh my gosh.
do you see similarities in the way that people learn? You were young when you were overseas, but do you see similarities in the way that people learn?
The process of learning what I learned in Thailand and how to teach people and how people can learn and absorb is the same that I learned in my teacher practice, and is somewhat the same. Obviously, I've got my own personality, skill, and just my own into it, but it's the same that I use in my classroom. Like what we forget, or what I feel. Let me not speak for everybody, and let me speak for myself. What I see often is that I forget that I'm talking about children here. And I'm talking about kids learning. I'm not talking about grown adults or anything. I'm talking about children. And sometimes kids are silly. And
Yeah.
kids make a lot of mistakes. I learned that from my mother, forgiveness of people, because people make mistakes a lot, especially children. And I'm the safe space for them to learn
Right.
how to mess up big time, because I'm not going to make a lifelong punishment on them.
Very true.
Awesome.
You know, as a high school counselor, those are
Right.
the conversations that I have with parents. And I always think about our parents, because you know, our parents, Nackie and Carl, you know, they were the first migration off of the
Right.
Samoan Islands, right? At least that's for our family,
Yeah.
our family. And they were hard on us. Our parents were hard. You know, our father was really hard on us. All we ever heard from him was, you are going to college. You are going to get your education. So
Right.
we could not go to college because
Yeah.
we were so afraid of him. He was like 6'4" and big, and you know, he carried his words just meant everything to all of us. But I want to tell our Samoan parents today that I have this sign on in my office that says, smart is not what you are. Smart is something you get. And so that's where resiliency comes in, that, you know, we push and we love our kids towards their education. And as I was talking to my little granddaughter, Nyla, she was so disappointed and mad at herself for not learning her multiplication. And so I just had a little quiet talk with her and said, you know, Nyla, part of learning is making a lot of mistakes and feeling like, you know, you're dumb. And she said, well, that makes me feel dumb all the time. I said, well, then that means you're learning because it's hard. You know, learning is hard, but you keep at it. That's where the perseverance, that's where the love, that's where the support of your family and your community comes in. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's what learning is all about, is making mistakes.
Right. I think it's really important for like students, especially our brown students, especially our black students, to have people around them that tell them you're okay and you're so loved by us.
Yes.
And it's fine. Like, we're going to mess up, but guess who will still be here? Me.
Yes.
I will still be here.
I think there's a big piece of in a child growing up is it's easy to, and I saw this in sports a lot with my kids, it's easy to celebrate, you know, the game-winning home run or the, you know, the three-point shot to win the game or those kind of things. But dealing with failure and dealing with adversity is more important, because it's easy to celebrate wins. You don't even have to think about it. Like, you get a win, you make progress towards a goal, you celebrate that, and it just comes naturally. But how you deal with not getting something that you want, or making a mistake and having to take a step backwards to take two forward, those are things that I think, as natural as celebrating winning comes, I think we think that naturally dealing with adversity comes, and it doesn't come natural. I think just like what you're saying is that that's a piece that we really need to focus on, and making people feel safe to make mistakes. I can remember many times as a child that I felt safe, that, you know, I could go out on a limb and, you know, take the right risks, not be risky in my lifestyle, but I felt like my parents were there to, you know, they would be there if I made a mistake or I fell. But yeah, I think that's the piece, that how we deal with adversity is something that I don't think we necessarily make a willful, intentional piece with the kids. Is to really dig into, how do you deal with when you don't get what you want.
And what we also see is in this age of technology and the age of social media, like, I watch what my own daughter watches at 9, and all she does is see people win, and all she does is see people do perfect. I mean, she literally watches a show called Dude Perfect, and I had to stop her from that. I was like, no, we're not watching that, because it just shows, like, in her mind, in her 9-year-old mind. And as much as I would like to think that, like, at 17 she'll think differently, being a high school teacher for so long, I can see what starts as something small. I'm going to tell you where that's going to end up. in senior year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I see it really early, and I'm like, no, you're not going to watch people. You're not going to watch things where they only do it one time and it's perfect.
Perfect.
No,
Right.
that's not reality. And that's not going to be anybody's, it's not even their experience. They had to practice. They have lots of cuts.
Right.
And as a high school counselor, a conversation I always have with parents and also my counselor interns that come in to sit with me for a year in counseling is it's really important for us as parents and counselors to meet kids where they are. You know, because it's really important to see your child as an individual. And I see it in my little Rosemary Joy, who's 10 months, and I see it in Nyla. And honoring who they are at that age, not already saying, okay, this one's going to be a doctor, going to go to all the best schools, going to go to Stanford. It's like, no, don't do that to your kids. You're setting them up for failure. You're taking away their God-given gifts that they don't even know that they're there yet. They have to be revealed to them. It's going to be revealed to them whether they like reading books, whether they like writing stories, whether they like math, you know, whether they like to advocate and argue with their parents. I always say, you'll make a great lawyer.
Yeah.
Always fussing with your parents. You know, so we have to, as parents, appreciate and love our children where they are and just continue to use our tribe, you know, that's with us to help push all our kids towards making good choices, good decisions, finding out who they are as individuals, you know, and that I think makes a life worthwhile, and it makes people happy when they take ownership of who they are and not be afraid. Oh my God, my friends are going to think about this. You know, somebody's going to say this, somebody goes that. Well, forget about them. It's your life. You do you. They can do them.
I can tell you, Kitty has been saying that for 27 years. I can remember. She's been saying that for like 30 years.
I am old, 64.
Katerina, when did you find out that you wanted to get into education?
Girl, I was going, my parents wanted me to be a nurse. So I went to San Francisco State, majored in pre-nursing. Then I did my little volunteer work at Peninsula Hospital there in San Mateo.
Oh, yeah.
Truesdale, I think. See, I haven't lost my marbles yet. Well, I hated it. I hated being in the hospital. And I'm like, oh, how am I going to tell my dad and mom, you know, that I don't want to major in nursing? Well, I took the chicken way out and just changed my major to political science. I said, oh, I'll go to law school. I think they'll be okay if I went to law school. But, you know, I got married in my senior year and my husband's job required us to move around. So I kept that senior year on hold for like, girl, almost 20 years. Finally, we got to Portland. I said, God dang it, I'm going back there to finish my degree. And I was like 43, you guys. So if I can go back
that's awesome.
and finish my degree at 43 and finish grad school at 51, anybody can do it.
That's awesome.
It was just volunteering at my kids' schools. And then I want to say to every Pacific Islander there that the innate qualities we possess of loving our families, our friends, compassion, how we view our lives as not as individuals, but in the bigger scope of a culture of our families. I think education is a great field for Pacific Islanders. I mean, and it's a field that's changing. So don't think, oh my God, you know, the class is so hard in college and I'm going to be so nervous standing in front of kids. Education is a totally different field and it will continue to evolve in your lifetimes. But yeah, so, you know, just volunteering at my kids' schools, I say, God dang it, I'm going to go finish that year of college and then getting hired at the high school. And I thought, you know, I'd love to do counseling because it's a Palangi school. So I felt that our students of color were not represented. So I said, you know what, I think I'll go and pursue counseling. So we have at least, you know, one non-Palangi face in the counseling office. So that's how it started.
That's awesome.
Representation is
Yes, that's huge.
Mhm.
I think the point of getting your education, your higher education done when you're in your late teens, early 20s, it's hard to explain. I ended up going back um, at 40 to go get my degree that I managed to cram 4 years into like 24. Um, but it's a lot harder. You know what I mean? When you got a career, you got a
Yes.
family, you got a mortgage, you got
Yeah.
grown up bills, and it's hard to explain to a 21, 22, 23-year old that hey, there's never any easier time than now. Like it's only going to get more difficult in your life to finish your school
Right.
later on in life, get it done while you don't have all the responsibilities. But to your point, if you want it bad enough, you can do it.
You
You know
can
what I
do
mean?
it.
It's just a
Exactly.
little bit more difficult when you have all of like real life, big life responsibilities.
Right.
You talked about your father really stressing how important education has been, and clearly that goes generations in the family. Is that something that 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 it goes throughout, like not just in your specific family, but like his siblings, their kids do the same thing, or is that something that was specific to your father?
It was specific to our family. That he felt that was the measure of success for him as a father. That, his kids all graduated from high school, that his kids, went to college, pursued college. So that was specific to us because that's all we ever heard from him. You're going to go to college, you're going to finish college, you're going to be successful. And my mother used to always say, don't depend on other people.
Mm.
Although she used to say in the craziest way, make sure you find a nice man to help you out. Someone mothers, back then she'd say, yeah, su'elu fisoslani. And I'm like, really, mom? Oh my goodness. But yeah, so, it was a value that Papa really instilled in us as people. And there's that sense also of, I felt that for him, that was the humility of being successful in God's eyes, was that he put people on earth to move all of us forward. So Elizabeth and Woody have heard it from me too. You were not put on this earth, in a very random manner. You have a purpose in this life. Your purpose, I know, is to leave this earth in a better space than when you came. So, it's your mission, Elizabeth Talamoto Toms Ellis.
Oh, not the full name.
I got to really hold to it.
But, we have like Tammy's kids. We have my nephew Conrad Togia'i and his wife Melinda, Corinne's parents.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in the same boat, It's like we told the kids, it is not if you're going to college, you are going to college, and you will leave this world in a better place than when you came. But yeah, so we're like very proud of all of our nieces and nephews, that they've also graduated from college. Corinne graduated from U of O. Antonio just graduated this past weekend from Portland State. So,
oh, wow.
it's just
Woody
fostering
is from
what their
Oklahoma.
purpose.
Wow.
Woody graduated from University of Oklahoma. Tao from
Oregon
State. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's not easy. That's what I want to tell people. It's not easy. But if you put your mind to it, that you will do it, you will. And you don't have to take a full load every semester, right? Or quarter.
Right.
If you have to work, with the price of colleges this nowadays, I tell my kids from our high school, take at least one class a quarter that you can afford, but just keep going. And then they say, well, I'll be too old. I'm like, well, how old are you going to be without your college degree?
Exactly.
Just keep going. Success in our life does not come easy. You have to work, you have to struggle. And I tell my football players, that I really admire football players or athletes because you got to learn the plays, you got to, read the defense or the offense. I said, if you can figure that out, I'm sure you can figure out your English paper or your math class. You just have to make time for it.
What I think is really important, especially in high school, like to come back to our roles as people who are brown, Polynesian people
Yeah.
in leadership roles in schools, is that these conversations are not easy to have. Students, no matter who they are, this is not a conversation that's just like, you know what, I'm going to sit down today. I'm going to talk about all my challenges that get into college. Like
Right.
talking about our shortcomings or our perceived shortcomings, because they're not at all a shortcoming, but like talking about how do I make this happen? Like, what are my options? Where do I even go? My whole family's depending on me. We're so poor, I can't even think about college. Having to come to that with somebody who does not visibly look like your life outside of school, does not look like your family, that's another barrier, a perceived no, I'll just say a flat out barrier to having that conversation. So by having Kat, my mom, in as a counselor, having these conversations, the brown students flock to Kitty. They go running to her. In my schools, the brown kids, they come running for me, because out of all of the teachers in Portland Public, there is less than 5% are brown. That's a very few percent of adults, professional leaders, for our students to see. Like, you can't, it's really hard for students, for teenagers, for children to believe something that they cannot see, that they do not see.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
That they do not, you tell me I can be a teacher. I haven't seen a brown teacher in my life.
That part. Yeah.
You know, I have, you're telling me I can be a counselor. I can be a professional counselor. I have never seen a brown counselor in my life. Do you know what I mean? And so there's the rub on that. And it's also, it's like, well, that's because you have to be that brown counselor. But
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
But when you don't have anybody that you're feeling that connection with, the complexion connection.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
You're not seeing that. It's hard to believe. Like, oh, so when kids see me, and when kids see Kat, oh man, Kitty, you are the fastest person to be. They'll just sit down and be like, "Hi, I'm Maria," and she's like, "You'd be a great teacher."
I love that. I love that. Encouraging and opening up their minds to this is a possibility. I love that. Well, when I was growing up, like we grew up poor. And so I couldn't go to college. I didn't know that there was other options, that roads to lead me. And I never seen a teacher or a professor, a PI teacher or professor until my daughter went to college. And her professor is at San Francisco City College. And that was the first time. And I thought, man, it's so amazing for my daughter to see this professor, because to her, that's normal. You know, oh, a professor that's Samoan, you know,
right.
To her, that's normal. Or to me, I was like, oh my God, you know, look, there's a teacher that's a PI. And to her, she was like, yeah, Mom, there's another Professor Lassie is over here. And I was like, wow, how amazing for her to go to school where there's counselors and professors and doctors that look like her.
And they got on our show quickly.
And you know, Nackie, when you talk about being poor, you know, there's a deep shame that comes, at least for me, when you know, I'm not even going to ask my parents. They have no money.
Exactly.
I can remember back to third grade when they said, hey, everybody bring some candy for our Halloween thing. And I'm like, my parents can't afford candy.
Right.
I didn't even ask.
There's 50 million of you guys.
Right. So I think what I appreciate as being a person of color is understanding and looking at kids holistically. Like, you know, we have kids that, you know, they come late to school, high school every day because they're babysitting the kids, right? We know that. And or, you know, they come late because they're working till 1 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning at Taco Bell because mom and dad are undocumented and dad
Yeah.
just lost his job.
Right.
You know, those are the
Yeah.
things that we as people of color understand
Right.
why representation is so important, because in order for our kids to get over those feelings of shame, of guilt, or of feeling like I'm not smart because I can't seem to, you know, accomplish what teachers expect out of the high school. You know, we have to be there in the fields as educators to help navigate these for kids so that they know
Right.
they have an ally in the building for them.
Right.
And start those conversations with teachers, because I'll tell you what, teachers are very kind-hearted. Elizabeth, you're very kind-hearted.
Thank
Once
you.
they hear that big story about why the student, these are issues, you know, it's a different type of presentation that comes from the teacher about the student. So that's what I appreciate about being in the building.
But can I just, there's people screaming your name in the chat. There's Tammy Kiliona.
Hi,
I love you guys. Hello, family. M. Peasy, so proud of you, Kat and Miss Elizabeth Ellis.
We love you.
And then Mala Mala Century David Fatawi.
Hi.
Starting with ACT and SAT. He says, hello, family. Deja Afrotania is on. I don't know if you watch her, but she has a podcast. Lily Felicital Esse. Great, awesome. Kudos to you, ladies.
Thank you.
And then there's tons of people. There is I just wanted to read her because she was like, so proud of you guys. I'm scrolling. I'm sorry. I think her last name was Potts.
Diana.
Yeah, Diana Potts. She said she's so proud of you.
Samoan at heart.
Yeah. So tons of people are just shouting out the amazing motivation. You're motivating the kids and the great jobs that you guys, the example that you're setting for not only PI kids, but for all kids, you know, and especially kids of color. When they see you, they're like, oh, somebody that has the same tone as me is here.
Yes,
so I think that's amazing and wonderful what you guys are both doing.
Thank
I was
you.
going to point out that not only is there, so like in Nackie's daughter's example where she saw a Pacific Islander professor.
Yeah.
He's not only a professor, he's passionate about what he's doing,
Right.
and he's involved with the community. And the same with the second professor that she saw that was Pacific Islander. So there's something to be said, not just for you being in the role, but being passionate in the role. Because if you were dredging through your day and hated your job, then that would be like, people would look at that, the brown people would look at that and go, why would I want to be a teacher? Like, she
Right.
hates her job, or he hates his job. But the passion and the involvement and those kind of things helps not just the successful job or the perception of the career, but being passionate about it. It's a huge part of being something that a young adult would want to become. Because if you're, you know, there's plenty of people that hate their jobs. We talked about that earlier, where people haven't found their passion. And I don't care, you know, how great of an engineer or a doctor you are, if you hate your job and you absolutely hate going to work, if
Right.
I'm a kid and I see you, I probably don't want your job,
Right.
Because you just don't look happy. So
Right.
kudos to you for finding your passion and being in it, and then being that, you know, bright role model for the younger generation that's coming up. Do you see, Elizabeth, do you see a lot of PI, Pacific Islander kids in the high school that you feel are on the same path that your dad placed you on?
I see, you know what I see is I see a lot of Pacific Island students who have responsibilities already outside of the school. They already have, like, just like my mother did. I only have one brother. My mother has 7 siblings. So there's a large, like, I didn't have to take care of my brother outside of school, but on my Pacific Island students, they're taking care of their siblings, or they're responsible for working, like Kitty.
Right.
You know what I see the most, though, is an appreciation from students, but also from myself, like a real deep sense of appreciation of just being able to bring the community that I have with my family outside of school, to have that with another person inside of my work or inside of my school day if I were a student, is to find somebody else where that sense of the nurturing and caring and being together and being able to like, oh, you get it. Like that's the thing that we start with, is like really building the community together and having that already with students. And it's with Pacific Island students for sure. But remember, Kitty and we're brown faces. So it's even the Hispanic students,
African-American,
our African-Americans, our Black community. It's just having somebody there that's like, oh, those feelings of community and support I get from my family outside of here.
Right.
I also get it here in school. Or the feelings of support that I don't get at home. Here's somebody here that looks like me and is giving me this is what I need. Right.
Right.
So that I find that a lot. And I'm like Kitty, I'm always like, and you would be a great teacher.
would
be a great principal.
Because that's the family name. Now everybody's going to call me Kitty.
Sorry, I'm trying to, Mom, but it's hard.
I heard Tammy call you that too, but I've stuck to Katerina.
And on top of that, I find when I reflect on my role as a counselor that I'm really like a bridge, just like you and Carl, right? That conduit. Right. Like, I know that you as a Samoan can do this job, but it's just getting you to understand the process of your education.
Right.
Right? Like kids don't know, they come to high school, I just want to graduate. Like, no, you don't. You want to make sure your critical thinking skills are good, your math skills are good, that you understand, because you're going to college. I don't care what you say, you're going community college or 4-year. So that's what we provide. Like you two provide all of these options that our Samoan community can look at and say, oh, wow, we don't have to be the Rock or, play football. We can really just use our intelligence and just like athletes, just continue to train it every day. And that brain, that muscle will develop, and I can do it. But that's what I feel that you two and Elizabeth and I do. We are just bridges to people in their lives. But right now it's our Samoan community, because it is a community that can do it. It is a community that I know is focused. It is a community that loves people. It is a community that's humble. It's a community of good listeners. I always say Samoans need to be counselors. We're such good listeners, and I think we're very kind people too.
I
think that's what we are.
Real quick, Malama Century is busting you out. Kat, former homecoming queen for her high school.
Oh, we didn't get that.
Look at you! Look at you!
We didn't get that.
I didn't get that in the bio.
We all have to speak together. All of our Tawis, Faika, sing. I was actually prom queen of Mission High School class of 74.
Okay, boop. Okay, go girl. That's awesome. Okay, thank you, singing. Yeah, he just busted you out.
He's a big advocate also for
yes, he is.
Yes,
I love it.
Samoan Pacific Islander kids. We love you.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, the one and only. That's awesome. That in Mission High School, were you the first PI prom queen, do you think?
Yeah.
Probably, right?
Back then too, I knew, our father was so strict, we could not go out of the house on Sundays. So Sunday, we go to church and come home and I'd be like, oh Lord, not again. Yeah. So my father, I tell people, he forced me to lie from Monday through Friday. I said, I'm doing this confession in front of you two and everybody else who knows me. I said, Papa, I'm joining student government, so I have to stay after school every day. So, that's how I would get out of the house, because to Dad, as long as I was doing things at school, he
It was
was okay. So that's how I got involved in student government, made a horrible volleyball player, but I made every excuse to stay out of the house because he was so dang strict. But look at what it did for me later on in life with, perseverance, initiative.
Yeah.
I try not to lie anymore.
But you know what it does? It has made and you know what it's made you think is like, what else can I do? Where
Right.
else can I find this avenue? I have something I want to do. So like I want to go to college. How can I make this happen? And
Right.
if anybody's gonna figure out how to get it done, it's gonna be this one right here. She's right here. It's gonna be Kat.
And you don't have to be a straight A student to get to college.
No.
I want to tell every Samoan parent out there, your student can go to college.
Any grade. Well, see, I mean, I and that's what I thought too. I thought, oh man, you got to be super smart to go to college.
No.
I think there's a misconception that you have to go to a big state school.
Yeah,
Or you have to go to community college. Go to community college for 2 years and do all of the beginner work. Right? You're going to get through it. There are still scholarships to do that, especially if you are first generation, first one to go from your family to go.
Yep.
If you are a Pacific Islander female, there's money there, and not just like a few dollars, like thousands on thousands on thousands of dollars that people want to give, people want to support.
Grants, scholarships.
Grants. This is that time where it's like, oh, let me take this. Even if it's enough just for one class, take it.
Right.
Yes.
Do it.
Yes.
Go for it.
Here in Oregon, Nackie and Carl, we have what we call the Oregon Promise grant. If you are planning to go to any of our 17 community colleges in Oregon and you have at least a 2.5 GPA, they will pay all your tuition at any of our 17 community colleges. And I know California has a plan just like ours, because there are quite a few states that are giving out grants for community college students. And like Elizabeth said, first generation, if nobody in your family graduated from college, they could have gone to college, but still not
finished.
If they're first generation Pacific Islander, just do it. Try it. Fill out your FAFSA and get going.
I think there's a lot of money left on the table.
Yes.
There's so many things that we probably, the more, this always happens. We get on with leaders and people much smarter than Nackie and I, and immediately like, we need to get this, we need to broadcast, like to have somebody out there and just say, like, there's money, here's the opportunity. If you live in Oregon and you do this, you can go to college. If you live in California or you live in San Francisco, it's free. If you, all these kind of things. And then that's not even to mention the grants that are available. That's what a piece that I think there's GI Bills that aren't being utilized because it's for not just for the person that's served, it's for, their children. I mean, there's so many things that now, much more I think about it, the more Nackie and I just need to sit down and talk and see, because really we don't know, but we could have, you talk about this for a couple, that could be a whole topic or a series, but you're right. There is probably a perception out there with plenty of parents that just feel like, well, my kid's got to be a 4.0.
No,
he's got to be a Division I blue chipper to go to college, get a football scholarship.
Yeah.
I think there's an educational piece that we could probably provide for the community, because a whole bunch of kids probably getting passed by that don't know what's available.
Exactly. Like my cousin Singh has said about ACT and SAT, a lot of four-year universities are going to college or options. You don't have to provide that particular score, but ACT and SAT is only if you're going to a four-year university. You have to those entrance exams, right?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have my own personal feelings. I feel like they're worthless because it's just, to me, measures what.
It doesn't pertain to
the breadth of the work that they've done in volunteer work. But yes, we should plan like when we come. Oh, we're always in San Francisco. Maybe
I know.
have like a day where all of our high schoolers come together and we can talk about.
That would be
what
awesome.
we do. I'd love to get my hands on those freshmen
I
and say, this is what your curriculum will look like the next 4 years. You know, just do it this way, you'll get into college. You know, study hard.
Right.
So
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Our hour went quick.
Wow, that was
That
fast.
was the fastest, I swear, the fastest hour ever. The fastest hour ever. Is there any, we'll start with you, Elizabeth. Is there a message or anything that you would like to get out there? If people want to get a hold of you to ask questions, if that's even possible, they could probably go through us if you're not comfortable giving out your information, but
that's totally fine.
There's totally, you know, I'm sure, and I know you guys don't know this because this gets us too, is that while you're teaching, you don't know how many lives you've saved because they won't tell you. You know what I mean? I don't know, and I know you know that there are kids that are living, or you know, because of the both of you. You know, you probably said a word, and I can't even. So many people have said, oh, because of my teacher, I went this far, or because of my teacher, I didn't go that far. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to know that there are kids that, okay, I'm going to cry. There are kids that you have totally saved their lives, or you led them to a successful career, but you just don't know. You just don't know. But you have to know that. You have to know that, and know that the work that you both are doing is really saving people's lives.
Thank you.
So thank you for what you're doing.
And Nackie and Carl, I just want to tell you guys that us being here as Togia'is, Taito Togia'is, we cannot leave this hour without mentioning my brother Ruben Togia'i. He's passed away, but he was really the lightning rod for us because he's 2 years older than me, graduated from Mission High School, outstanding senior in the San Francisco Unified School District, accepted to Cal, pre-med. But he became very ill, had a brain issue, quadriplegic. He ended up going to San Jose State in his wheelchair, ended up transferring to San Francisco State, driving his wheelchair with his mouth, graduated, went to law school.
Wow.
Driving his wheelchair with his mouth in the rain, in the cold. So our kids grew up hearing the legend of Uncle Ruben. If Uncle Ruben can drive his wheelchair with his mouth, graduate from San Francisco State, graduate from Hastings College of the Law, I'm sure you can go to school today with that little cough that you have.
Okay.
So, you know, thank you for having us. And,
oh my gosh.
you know, we all stand on the shoulders of our ancestors and remember why they left the islands for these opportunities. And you have to step up to it. Ask for help. We're here.
Yes, ask for help is a big step. I thank you so much for coming on, the both of you. Can I just tell you my quick high school story?
Yeah.
I was in high school. I think I was a freshman, and I was a freshman in high school, and I was sitting in class, and I see this Samoan girl come in, and she had green hair. And she comes and sits next to me, and she was dressed like, I don't know, like a Boy George kind of thing.
Okay.
And she sat in the class, and the first thing I thought was, man, she is so brave. She has so much confidence because no one else was dressed like that. And she had her crew and stuff like that they were, but for her to walk around with her head high, and she was laughing, and she came over and introduced herself to me. That was Tammy. That was Tammy that did that. She had a different color hair like every month. She had a different color hair every month. But when she was in high school, that's the first thing that hit me was, man, she is so brave. I wish I had the confidence that she did. So your parents did a great job, and we're blessed to have you both on Faika. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you both, ladies, and thank you for being the role models that you are.
Yes.
Our
Thank
job
you
easy.
so much.
Gotta get
Thanks,
the camera.
everybody.
Take care.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good evening. Thank you.